friends, I'm Abigail.
And I'm Cassidy, and this is 10 to Thrive.
We're here to talk through all the seasons of life.
From the messy and mundane to the meaningful, where God meets us where we are.
We're all about applying God's Word to real life and growing as women of God together.
Let's thrive in His goodness for His glory. And we're back. We have a fun summer episode that's a little bit lighter for us today. We're talking about the idea of hospitality, and Abigail is going to kind of take this and run with it, and I'm really excited to hear what we have to learn about hospitality today.
Yeah, so this is something that I never would have thought of talking about, but I was listening to a podcast by Marcy Farrell at the Thankful Homemaker. And she has a great episode on hospitality, and so a lot of these thoughts have been kind of reused from her, but I loved them, and now these are practices that I've started using in my own life. But Cassidy and I were talking about the last time we got together of what even is hospitality. You know, how do we describe this? So I went to good old Webster's dictionary. To be hospitable is given to generous and cordial reception of guests, promising or suggesting generous and friendly welcome, offering a pleasant or sustaining environment, readily receptive. And so just from that alone, it goes to show that hospitality and being hospitable doesn't necessarily just happen in your home.
Right. Doesn't mean that you're just always hosting.
Right. It is so much further than having people over and feeding them. Hospitable treatment, reception, or a disposition. And I think that one is really important is, do you have a hospitable disposition? Are you ready to be kindly affectionate one to another? Which then, of course, takes us into what the Bible has to say. And there's quite a few passages, but we're going to just use Romans 12. Let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil, cling to what is good. Be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love and honor, giving preference to one another. So that's a big aspect of hospitality, is caring for the needs of others. How can I serve this other person? Not lagging in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing steadfastly in prayer, distributing to the needs of the saints, and given to hospitality. And in the New King James Version, there's a little header that says, behave like a Christian. And that's what that section is talking about. Right. And so as Christians, I do think that we should be given to hospitality. And as we're going to talk about, hospitality has many different forms.
Okay, so my thoughts about this is sometimes when you're in a church, they talk about what are your strengths as a Christian, like what are some spiritual gifts that you might have. Yeah. And on that list is like a hospitality. Yeah. And I had taken one of those, what are your strengths as a Christian, and like hospitality was not up there for me.
At the bottom.
And so I was sitting there like, I would enjoy having people over or hosting and all this stuff. Like I would enjoy part of that. But part of my brain was like, oh, like, I'm not good at being hospitable. Yeah. But God calls us to love others, and that's part of hospitality. And so hospitality, maybe it isn't your greatest strength, but it's something that can be learned, and God still calls us to this. So let's pick up our bootstraps and learn about it, you know?
Yeah, so kind of, it reaches beyond inviting others into your home, but reaching out to others and their needs. And, a few weeks ago, you were telling me about how you were bringing a meal to somebody, and you were telling me the recipe that you were using, and you were like, oh, this is one that I like to use. It was a chicken tenders recipe with a special marinade.
What? I don't think this is me.
Yes, it was. What? You and I, we went shopping together. We went grocery shopping together.
My brain is completely flopping.
It was like the first time that we met together to talk about having a podcast.
The chicken tenders recipe.
Yes. With the pineapple juice, we had to go to the store and get pineapple juice. Yes, it's actually you. You were telling me that your grandma...
okay, see? I see. I'm like so embarrassed. I'm like, why don't I remember this? It's not really chicken tenders. It's like drumsticks.
Oh.
So when you said
okay.
Grandma Bose's recipe, yes, it's marinated chicken.
Okay.
Yes.
Not chicken tenders.
No, sorry. I'm like, I don't make chicken tenders. This is not me.
I'll bet that it would work as chicken tenders.
But yes, I have a wonderful chicken marinade recipe.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grandma Bose.
So anyhow, that was something that you were doing. And so, right, it might not necessarily be in your house. I'm still trying to gather myself. Yeah. Anyways, many people might feel ill-equipped to host within their own homes, but we can practice hospitality at church. You can practice it at different outings and events. You can even practice it at other people's homes. Mm-hmm. Something that I had never really even thought of is there are some people who say, I would love to host, but maybe I don't want to be the one who does all the cooking, or maybe I'm not the one who wants to be the main entertainer, but here's my home, you can use it.
Yeah, it's genius.
And my mother-in-law is like that. She is a wonderful host, and they'll volunteer their home and for holidays, and they're not always the main ones preparing every single dish, but they have made their home available, and they're being good stewards of what they have to share. Mm-hmm. And I know your parents are exactly the same way. Mm-hmm. Cassidy's parents will host a lot of different young adults activities, and I know that they just hosted a teen activity, and they're not the lead of those ministries, but they've made their home available. So we can look at scripture also, and Jesus is a model of this. And it was so cool as I was thinking through. He provided fresh wine at the wedding of Cana. He provided food for the 5,000. He provided food for the 4,000. He healed many sick and handicapped, and he washed the feet of his disciples. It wasn't his home. It wasn't his place. He wasn't the servant. But yet he said, oh, hey, here's a need. Let me meet it. And that is all along the same vein as hospitality. Mm-hmm. So one of the negative aspects, I think, of our Western culture is that hospitality is not super high on that list, especially when we think about our Eastern neighbors. Many of those Eastern cultures, hospitality is a huge part of it.
Didn't realize this.
Yes, it's massive. And I mean, having somebody over to your house is this huge ordeal and an honor, and the way that the guests are served and being certain not to offend anybody, it's so valuable and so important to them. And I think, wow, we're really not like that. And we like to blame COVID for a lot of things. And I think that COVID certainly does have a role in this. But as a whole, we're just much less likely to invite people over or to see needs and meet them.
Yeah, I think that COVID may have changed our pace of steps, because maybe before we used to do this more often, and now we don't. We're a little bit more timid in inviting people out. But maybe what are something that prevents us from wanting to invite people? We're like, why are we like this? That's just... I'm not really 100% sure.
Well, and I think that hospitality, it takes effort.
Yeah.
And so anything that we can use as an excuse, the phrase, any excuse will do, it's true. You can come up with anything, and that is a great excuse. So I kind of was thinking about this and how many mentoring opportunities, discipling opportunities, and just ministry opportunities in general do we miss by either not being willing or being afraid of being hospitable. And so here I have 11 different reasons, and I'm sure at least one of these, maybe all of these, will resonate with us. But I believe that a lot of us are hesitant to become hospitable because we embrace one or more of the following excuses. Number one, it's not my place to offer this or to volunteer. And I think that this one is, thinking about at church, when we see that unfamiliar face and it's like, oh, well, I don't really know the layout that well, or, oh, they're a family with older kids and I have little kids, or whatever. And we feel like, oh, it's not my place. But honestly, they've just come in, like, anybody will do.
Yes.
They would love to talk to anyone. Number 2, I'm not really sure what their needs are. So how could I help them if I don't know what they need, right? Number 3, maybe they're not interested in my help. That's one of the things that I struggle with a lot. Is like, oh, well, maybe they don't want me to. Maybe they're gonna feel obligated, or I don't want to force anybody. Like, that's something that I definitely struggle with more as an an extroverted personality. I am self-aware of like crossing borders and being like, maybe I need to calm down. Yeah, and knowing like, okay, what are my boundaries here? Maybe I won't do a very good job. My house is messy. My house is too far away. My house is too small. I don't have any food at home, or it's too expensive to take them out. Their schedule seems pretty busy. My schedule is too busy. This is way out of my comfort zone.
Wow. This is like, there's so many things. I'm like, which one do I choose?
Right.
One of the ones in the middle that... what if I don't have any food or it's too expensive? Mm-hmm. Something that I want to put out there for you guys is a link or PDF that I have of my freezer stock list.
Yes, and I'm excited. I haven't looked at that yet, and I'm excited to look at it.
So I can take a little bit of that excuse away, hopefully, and share my freezer with you.
Yeah, this is what I have in my freezer.
Yes, but with my freezer stock list has some easy, like, make meals of things, so it doesn't have to be fresh food, like, we're out of our fresh food, but we do have some good meals that I can offer to have someone over, so it's not so like, oh, we don't have anything in the house. No, you do. It's like always in your freezer. So anyways, that can take that excuse away and have some easy go-to meals.
And we appreciate that, Cassidy. So now we're going to talk about a few tips that I've learned that can help make hospitality easier to swallow and hopefully a little bit more practical to adopt into your lifestyle, because it's true. Sometimes it just really doesn't feel practical for whatever life stage you're in. So I've got 3 different categories. Hospitality outside of your home. So specifically while at church, if there's a face that you don't recognize, introduce yourself, ask if they're involved in any ministries. If you're a part of a larger church, sometimes it can feel awkward introducing yourself to somebody because you find out that they've been attending the church for the last 5 years, and you're like, oh, I had no idea. I thought you were brand new. I've never seen you before.
Wow, I feel this close.
Right? Yeah, I know. There have been a couple of times where it's like, I wish But, you can just ask them, hey, are you involved in any ministry here, or would you like, that's kind of a casual way of trying to feel out.
And I'm writing this down.
Yeah. If you know there's a new family or individual, so this one you're confident, okay, I know this is your first time here, or maybe it's even just their second or third time, you can ask them if they know where things are, if they need help finding any classrooms. I think that we oftentimes overlook this and just assume that everybody knows where everything is. But, frankly, somebody asked me where, the second grade classroom was, and I was like, I don't know. I don't have any kids in second grade. And then it hit me okay, I've been coming to this church for 5 years, and if I don't know where the second grade classroom is,
right.
How do those brand new parents know where it is?
Right.
You can introduce them to at least one other person. And so that way, when you walk away, they have at least one other contact. And hopefully that contact will introduce them to another one. And that's how you build community. So that is something that I try to do. If I get the nerve to introduce somebody or introduce myself, I do always try to connect them to at least one other person.
So, how does this work out? So you're ending the conversation, you're actually gotta go, but so-and-so's name is, and is that how you do it?
Yeah, something, or I'll try to find somebody in the same group. So for example, there was a young man who was at church last week, and I'm not a young man, so I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, I'm Abby, my husband is Trevor. Have you met any of the other young guys. And he was like, oh, no, I haven't. Like, I've only met the elderly women. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like, let me help you.
Yeah, I was like, we're going to change that. And so then I just took him over to a group of guys. And I was like, hey, guys, this is so-and-so. He's doing this. Like, bye. Yes. And then I walked away. So, right, something similar to that where you physically bring them over. And then I went upstairs and I walked past another one of the young adult guys. And I was like, hey, there's this guy downstairs. You need to go meet him. And so, right, kind of pushing people towards them.
Yeah. And then giving the next person a conversation starter.
Right.
They're good at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And take it off. Yeah. Let's see. So again, outside of your home, take them out for a meal. And this can be really cheap and affordable as well. You can do a picnic or a park lunch. It doesn't need to be in your home. It can be somewhere else. I get made fun of for this all the time because we've gone on like trips and I'll always bring sandwiches and like sandwich supplies. That way I can feed my army. And like sandwiches are really cheap. And especially if you like buy the bread and the meat and the cheese, like you can make a lot of sandwiches for pretty cheap. Or go out for ice cream. We talked about ice cream quite a bit. But go out for ice cream, and that is cheap, especially if you do Culver's. Culver's is pretty much nationwide now. You save up those Scoopy tokens and take out an entire family for ice cream and pay nothing. Like, if the money is a problem, there's an idea for you.
I have my bag of Scoopy tokens in my car.
Yes.
Could feed an army.
Exactly. So then we have hospitality for those in need. We talked about in Romans chapter 12 about being kindly affectionate and preferring others and looking to the needs of others. So offer to prepare a meal for them. Give them a gift card for a grocery store or for a particular restaurant. You can order them a meal, offer house cleaning or childcare. Sometimes it's not food, right? I know that this list feels pretty food heavy. Food is my love language, so that's what I have on here. But maybe it's childcare, and that is something that they really need right now. If they are working on moving or if they are doing various projects, whatever it may be, that could be something that they need. You could meet them at an event. I'm a big proponent, what is that? Big supporter?
I thought proponent sounded right.
Is it proponent?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm a big supporter of doing life with people. And so go along with them. Like, do their kids play Pee-wee softball? Go to their kids' Pee-wee softball game. Do they have a dance recital? Go to their kids' dance recital. Whatever it is, go and support them in it. And you might be feeling like, well, what does that have to do with hospitality? Hospitality and community are very closely related. And kind of like Webster was talking about, that kind disposition and being available to others. And then hospitality within your own home. Try to have these are the really practical tips. So if you're feeling like, okay, I could do those things, but I don't want people at my house, these are some tips that I've tried to adopt. Attempt to have your home clean on the weekends. That way on Sunday after church or whatever it is, you feel like, okay, I could have somebody over because my house is already clean. And if you need to stop on the way for food, you can do that. Try to have your fridge or your freezer stocked with meals or groceries on the weekend for quick meals. That way you're already prepared. Have your freezer meal plans. Make an extra batch of easy meals, one to eat and one to freeze as a gift.
Amen.
And this is just even for your own sanity. I will do this all the time where I'll make a double batch of just about anything. That way I have it for later.
I love that too.
Yeah, it's a great hack. Again, invite guests over just for dessert and maybe a game. It doesn't always have to be a whole meal. keep the fun outside of your house. If the inside is really scary, and tell them, hey, there's bushes you can pee in. Sorry, you can't come inside. No, I mean, maybe just clear a path to your bathroom just in case. But yeah, keep the fun outside. Maybe you have a really small house. I have a pretty small house. It's not the most convenient for hosting. So a number of times throughout the summer, we'll have people over and we'll just stay outside. We'll do a campfire or whatever it is. You can do the same thing with sandwiches, do a game night. You can do a craft day for Valentine's Day. I had a bunch of the teen girls over and we did crafts and, kind of Valentine's themed things. This is getting more spiritual, but you could host a prayer meeting. Okay, you can teach a skill. Invite them into your life. Invite other people to help you. We don't always like asking for help, but this might be something that someone else needs. You can bless another person by letting them help you and seeing, what do they need. Invite others to serve with you. This is another thing that I did was I had a day that I wanted to make a bunch of meals to give. And so then I invited a couple of teen girls to come over and bake food with me that we were going to take to other people. And then plan for intentional free time and flexibility. I am a super type B person, so I don't plan anyways, but be flexible. That way you can pick things up and be like, oh, tomorrow night, let's go out with so-and-so, or allow that freedom so that you can be spontaneous and you can be available for others.
You need to take some more notes here. Be more flexible.
So when we are prepared for the possibility of people coming over, we're more willing and more likely to have them over.
Right.
So
yeah, prepare a little bit.
Yeah.
Not so flexible.
Yeah, not so flexible, but hey, when you prepare a little bit in advance, you're able to be more flexible later.
Yeah. Something that I was thinking about with hospitality is there's the giving end and there's also the receiving end of hospitality. So every time we think about being hospitable, there's always someone on the receiving end. So maybe you're on the receiving end right now. What is something that you can do to show some thankfulness for that? Maybe that looks like writing a note. Or maybe that looks like bringing some flowers with you when you're on the way. That's just something that you can think about is they're doing so much. How can I show some appreciation back too?
Yeah. So it is always really sweet when you get those like hostess gifts or whatever it is. So those are great. Cassidy had shared a little bit earlier that hosting is not always her favorite, but she has some really good tips for ways to maybe overcome that a little.
Right. So I was talking with Abigail how hosting doesn't always seem like it's like my strongest point because I'm an introvert. And I was actually reading an article, so here's even more into this. For introverts is you can invite an extroverted friend to help you out for one. But for two, something that I personally have been doing when I know I'm going somewhere or I'm hosting people in my home, I try to go in my iPhone notes and start typing up some talking points. If someone asks you, what have you been up to? And your brain goes blank, you're like, oh, let me think. But no, like if you prepare a little bit ahead of time to write in your notes, like what have I been up to? Or what are some questions that I can ask them? Or try to think back to your last conversation with them. What was I talking about with them? And I don't know if this is just like tired mom brain or if this affects everyone, but it's like my conversation skills are like at a -10 right now. And so going in and preparing.
I never made chicken for anyone. When did we go shopping together?
No, I remembered this. But I'm like, chicken tenders. I'm not going to be able to stop laughing now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that was so good. But being prepared and having a little bit of notes and conversation. Something else that I was reading about this week is that you can actually buy conversation starter cards. That look cute for on your table, and so that you can like pass the box over to your husband and be like, choose a card and just like put him on the spot. That's what I'm good at.
Have fun with it. And I like what you've said about inviting another person, because I know I know that I'm the one who's leading this conversation about hospitality and hosting. It is admittedly hard for us to invite people over that we don't, like, that's not family or who we don't know super, super well. And yeah, one of the reasons is because I am married to an introvert, and so it's not always his favorite. And but the idea of inviting more than one couple over, because you do always have those thoughts of like, what are we going to talk about, and what if the conversation goes stale, or are they just going to leave the house right away? Like, are we going to be stuck here? And so inviting maybe 2 couples over at a time, that way
would click and
right. And that way, if you can't think of anything to say, hopefully they can.
Yes, save me.
Yeah, please help.
No, I feel like I've seen hospitality displayed over and over in my family. I have so many people involved in different ministries with my aunts and uncles and my parents specifically. I've seen my mom every single Sunday preparing meals on bulk, on repeat. And so I've been able to take some mental notes from that. But that being said, maybe you don't exactly know where to start with hosting, but you want to learn. Think of someone, there's got to be someone in your church that is really great at the bulk meals. Like, I don't have a recipe idea. I'm having like 15 people over. Like, can you help me out?
Yeah. And that is the idea too of, seeing, can I serve with you? Can we do this together?
Great. So I actually have a song of the week to wrap us up here, and it's called Come to the Table. It's by Sidewalk Prophets, and it's a really beautiful message throughout the sound. It's like everyone is welcome here at the table of Christ is kind of what they're saying, but anyone from any walks of life, broken or not, sometimes you can invite people around your circles, maybe not into your home, but that don't look like you or don't act like you, and you can still extend a hand out to them. But yeah, come to the table. Everyone's welcome here.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you were able to get some good takeaways.